I want to thank everyone for joining us and thank also our panelists for being here with us today. I want to introduce you all to Serena Monteforte, the recruiting officer. And we also have with us today two students that will give you some useful and interesting insights from the Humanitas University. And we have here Pietro Andrea Arpaia from the MedTech school student, and also Beatriz Falcone, a student from Medicine and Surgery. Welcome to all of you. It's a pleasure to have you here. And together with them, you are going to explore deeply the course in medicine and surgery and the MedTech program, which combines medical studies with engineering and digital technologies. So the courses are entirely in English, so they are accessible to all of you, and you will also receive all the answers regarding the accommodations, the visa application process, and so on. Also, you will have the possibility to interact with our speakers and ask them questions. And talking about that, I'd like to remind you that after the presentation, we will have the Q&A session where you'll be able to ask their questions to the panelists. So don't be shy and just type all of your questions in the Q&A section here on Zoom, and we'll go through them at the end of the webinar. Also, for those of you interested in receiving a certificate of attendance by Docsity for this free masterclass, stay tuned because we will post a link to get the certificate at the end of the session. Okay, so I see some other people joining us. Welcome to all of you. And I think that we can start now without further ado. I'm now leaving the floor to our panelists for their interesting presentation. So enjoy and see you later.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And nice to meet you all. So I'm Serena. I work at the recruitment office of Humanitas University. So welcome, everybody. I hope you'll enjoy this presentation. I'll try not to be too boring and to be as practical as possible. So I'll start straight away with a brief presentation about our campus university. So first of all, we are in Milan, in the southern part of Milan, Italy. And here in this first picture, you can see our campus. Basically, we are a campus university where everything's together and combined. So we have some buildings dedicated to didactic activities, really next to buildings dedicated to research activities and other buildings dedicated to services, and then the residence for students and also the hospital, which is right in front of the main buildings. So basically, once the students get there, they can walk. When they have practical activities, they leave everything in their locker and they just walk to the hospital. In 5 minutes, they get there. So they can be fully concentrated on their studies and activities. So I go on. This is what I was telling you about right before. So in this campus university, we have three main courses: the clinical activity, the research activity, and education. These three pillars are interconnected and they offer a full experience to all students and even researchers and doctors. So we have all these kind of figures that work together and coexist. These are the two main courses that we offer about medicine, so in the medicine field, and of course in English language. We have the medicine and surgery degree course with a total of 200 students, where 5 places are dedicated to international students, so non-European students. And then the MedTech school, I'll talk about it later to explain a little bit more about this strange new course, with a total of 100 places where 20 are dedicated to international students. So these are some important points and core points about the medicine and surgery degree course. It is a single cycle master's degree, so you access it right after high school. It lasts for 6 years. You have integrated courses and modules. You start going to the hospital for clinical activities on the 3rd year. That's the reason why by the 3rd year, you are required to speak at least a medium level of Italian, because you will have to work with patients, and they, of course, are Italian in the majority of cases. Then there are dedicated tracks for specific fields in medicine. They are called honors tracks, and also specific tracks for students interested in research. It's called Virgilio program, and you can access it starting in your third year, if you are motivated, of course, and interested in research. So right next to, let's say, the standard and mandatory courses to get the degree in medicine, you have some extra tracks that you can apply for and enter if you are really good and motivated and you want to explore and understand more about some specific fields. What about the MedTech school? The MedTech school is a single cycle degree. It is organized in cooperation with the Politecnico of Milan. It is a master's degree, single cycle master's degree that combines medicine and biomedical engineering. So from a technical point of view, at the end of the 6 years, what you get and obtain is a master's degree in medicine and research, which is released by us, so by Humanitas University, together with a bachelor degree in biomedical engineering released by the Politecnico in Milan. Of course, again, courses are integrated. You spend, especially during the first year, some months at the Politecnico to focus more on their subjects, so on subjects of biomedical engineering, and some other months here at Humanitas. Then, at a certain point, you start attending only at Humanitas University, and you start even also your clinical activities on the fourth year. Basically, this course is dedicated to those students who are interested in medicine, but also on engineering topics. And these are some options about the employability. So about what you can do after this kind of course. You can, of course, work in hospitals because you will be a doctor, so you can access residency schools and so on, so go on with clinical activities. But at the same time, you could work in industry to work on technological innovation, or, for example, in research to develop scientific innovation in the medical field, of course. This is a nice, let's say, slide about our simulation center. So going back to the idea of a campus university, I want to spend some words on our simulation center. It is here in the building where I actually am right now, and it's used by professionals, but also students during their course and the years that they spend here. So the simulation center includes an anatomy lab that we also call cadaver lab, that is mainly dedicated to external professionals. So they are specialized doctors that come here to work on cadavers, actually, to perfectionate some surgical techniques, for example. But we also have the cube that you see here on the right part of the screen, where there is a space where you find simulators of any type that you can access and work also together with tutors. And then there's the high fidelity part of the simulation center, where students on their 5th year start working on high fidelity scenarios, on specific monkeys and scenarios, of course, to practice what they have learned during the previous year in a safe environment. So basically, the idea is that they have to practice on monkeys, and they can make mistakes because they are safe. They have a briefing, the activity, and then a debriefing where they can cooperate with their classmates and also, and especially with tutors and doctors, to reason about what they have done and how to improve their skills before going to the hospital and in the future access a specialty school and actually work hands-on on patients. Again, student experience. So as we have all the services and buildings together in a unique place, we also have a sort of list of things that make the student experience rich throughout the course. So we have, of course, some traditional services. There's a canteen, a cafeteria, a library, a language lab, the student house here in the campus. There are services like the counseling support and the special education needs supports with specialized doctors that meet individually all the students that require accommodations and support. We have some projects like the Erasmus Plus and the travel grants to support students for their activities and abroad, especially during summer periods. And then we have an increasing phenomenon of student societies that are actually developing and that reunite students that have the same interests, or that are from the same part of the world. So we have, for example, the Africa Society, the Indian Society, the Ortho Society, Neuro Society, and so on. And also, last but not least, we have some teams, like a football team, a volleyball team. We also have a band, and they sometimes look for new people, singers and musicians and so on. And they are also usually engaged and let's say called for our Christmas parties and summer parties. So we are all here together, even on relaxed events. Now, how to access our courses? So things might change. So I want to tell you this first, because in Italy, there's an admissions test to access medicine and surgery and also medtech. But the government is evaluating whether to cancel, let's say, this admissions test or not. So as they are still evaluating in this time, but now we have to separate the approach for last year students. So for students who are attending right now their last year of high school, and all other students. So students who are on their last year or that have already completed the high school, we have to take an admissions test. We have two different admissions tests, one for medicine and the other one for the medtech school. You can see the structure of the test here on this slide. So the medicine and surgery test is only about logics, in particular scientific thinking and academic literacy, while the admissions test for the medtech school is a more traditional one about mathematics, logic, reasoning, biology, and so on. We already have dates for all these tests. So the medicine and surgery one will take place in February on the 5th and the 26th, while the medtech one will take place on March the 21st and April the 11th. While you can already register for the medicine and surgery one, you will have to wait for the medtech school admissions test. We will publish the call for applicants in January, and then at that point you will be able to register. Important thing, when you register, you can take the test on both dates for the same price. This gives you the opportunity to practice the test, so maybe on the second time to get a better score. And for the final ranking list, of course, we will consider your best score. What about fees and scholarships? For the two courses, they are the same. So tuition fees per year are flat for international students, 23,000 euros. We have two partial scholarships available for medicine and two partial scholarships available for medtech. Their number might change according to donations and funds that we receive. They are merit-based, so they are assigned according to your position in the ranking list, and they are meant to be kept. This means that if you are assigned a scholarship and then you basically are on track with your exams, you can keep it until the very end of the 6th year. Now, I leave you with a short video of a couple of minutes that I hope you will enjoy and can give you an idea about what living in the campus means. So I hope you'll enjoy the video, and I'll be available later on for your questions if you have any. Okay, so I'm done. I leave you the word to Pietro and Beatriz, and also Carolina if she wants to say something.
Yeah, thank you so much for the really interesting presentation. I think that we still have so many useful information. Just before to give the floor to Beatrice and Pietro, I would like to give a little survey for the students connected today. If you want to give to share your opinion and to give us an idea about which course you would like to participate, you can just click on the preference answer, and then I will share the results in a couple of minutes, just in order to have an idea, a general idea, also considering what you have seen so far. And then we will leave the floor to Beatrice and Pietro that, of course, can give you another point of view of Humanitas University, since they're really, let's say, practically involved in the developing of Humanitas University. Okay, so I see some questions. I think that we can end the survey and I will share the results right now so that you can have an overview. We can see that we have so many answers on medicine and surgery, but we can also see some answers on medtech and also for both of them. And I think that are really interesting results since they are different, but have, of course, so many, let's say, strong points in common, but also strong points that can lead you in the job world opportunities. Okay, great. So let's proceed with the testimonials of Beatrice and Pietro. I give you the floor, and we'll see you later for the Q&A session.
Okay, so should I start? Okay, so my name is Beatriz. I am from Brazil, but I lived also in Switzerland. And then once I graduated from high school, I moved here to Italy to study medicine. And I am in sixth year now, so I started Humanitas in 2019. And I would say my favorite things about Humanitas, I mean the number one thing for me is that we have our own hospital. So since like we're one of the only places I think in Europe that has its own hospital. So whenever we want, if we're interested in a certain topic, we can go there and attend the ward that we like. So for instance, I'm interested in gastro. And by the way, one of the societies that Serena was talking about before is the Student Organized Gastro Society, and it was founded by me and my friend who's also interested in gastro. So if anyone has any questions about the societies, I can also answer that because I'm very involved in that. So I'm interested in gastro, specifically hepatology, and I've been going to the hospital there, and it's very, very convenient because we're right next to the hospital, so we have our own doctors, so we can go whenever we want and we can deepen our understanding um, because of the availability of the tutors and the doctors. And yeah, I mean, I think there is a very good balance between clinical activities and traditional lectures. So I mean, for the upper years, we mostly have the afternoons for lectures and the mornings for other clinical activities. So they're called vocational activities. We have the labs, the simulation rooms, and we we have a lot of materials available to hone our skills when it comes to clinical skills. And then in the afternoon, we have like traditional lectures given by mostly doctors. We have a lot of famous people that sometimes show up as our professors, so that's very interesting. Famous, I mean the medical field. Then, so I think it's Humanitas gives us a very integral perspective of medicine since we have all of these things, all of these elements in involved in our studies. I don't know if Pietro wants to. I study medicine, by the way, so Pietro is the medtech student. So yeah.
Yeah, if you want, I can add something also about my perspective. For sure, the most important thing, I think it's as Beatrice was saying, that we have almost a one-to-one relationship with tutors in the hospital, who are, by the way, doctors. So whenever we are going for a clerkship in the hospital, we have our own tutor who is following us, who is teaching us stuff. Moreover, we also have the opportunity to attend the labs. For example, I am doing an internship in an immunology lab since last year. I'm also publishing with my professor, so I think this is an amazing opportunity for everybody. And for sure, it's very unlikely in Italy to have the opportunity to publish otherwise. While here at Humanitas, honestly, I think that this is very a big plus for us. Moreover, Humanitas Hospital is according to Agenas, which is an agency ranking hospitals in Italy, is the best hospital. I think it has been the best hospital for 3 years in a row up to now. So really, it's an amazing place where to study and where to learn how to be a good doctor. Moreover, as a medtech student, we have also a lot of engineering foundation. I was looking at the questions a little bit just to have a little bit of a dialogue with you guys. And someone was asking about the difference between medtech and medicine. Probably the main difference to me is that we are studying, in the end, we will all be doctors and we will all be amazing doctors. So there's no difference on that side. But still at Politecnico di Milano, we are doing classes on chemistry, physics, statistics, machine learning, artificial intelligence, also some statics, biomaterials, and even things about robotics. So if you are more keen on let's say, the research aspect, which is not actually the point that, I mean, I want to be a doctor, I want to be a clinician, but for example, at second year, we are doing statistics, and it's more polytechnical, so engineering based. So they give you a lot of skills also on how to apply statistical tools. For example, I'm very interested in psychiatry, and there's this new field called computational psychiatry. And they are using computational methods, AI, neural network modeling, and applying those stuff to medicine. So with my kind of background, I'm able to talk with doctors, to talk with engineers. And also, one last thing I want to say about medtech is that we are not a mix of a doctor and an engineer, but we are just a new thing. So we are truly transdisciplinary. And if you want to give a look at our YouTube page, you will find an amazing lecture given at the ceremony of the opening of the academic year about what transdisciplinary really means. I would really suggest you to go and give a look at the YouTube video there. If you have any other question about students' life, about how it is to live in campus, how it is to live in the and to live the environment there at Humanitas, which really I love my university because it's probably the best place I've ever found in my entire life. Honestly, I can express myself there. I can talk with professor. I can talk about science. I can actually learn things in order to bring a meaningful impact in the future and in the field of medicine. And really, I truly suggest to exploit this opportunity to give us some questions about life in university.
Fantastic. Thank you for the really interesting testimonials that I think are useful to understand better the life in Humanitas University. And I see here so many questions from the students, so keep on writing and we will answer to you, of course. But let's begin with the first one, let's say. It's good morning. For non-EU students, we can also take the exam twice for medicine and surgery degree.
Yes, so I'll answer this question. Yes, all students can take the test twice. So when you register, and the deadline to register is January the 28th, we have the opportunity to choose the date, and you can also choose both days. And at that point, you would simply take the test and then wait for the best score to be used.
Great, thank you. And I think that there's another connected to this one, that is, what is the process for the non-EU entrance exam?
If you are asking about how it will take place,
Yeah, maybe.
it will take place online. So it will be
Okay.
online test, and all candidates will be able to take it at home. There are some specific technical requirements for their computers, but it will take place at home.
Great, thank you. And a question for Pietro, I think. How does the MedTech program integrate medical studies with engineering and technology, in your opinion, of course?
Okay, so first of all, we are doing the first semester of each of the first 3 years at Politecnico di Milano. And there we are actually studying the foundation for bioengineering. I'm talking about math, physics, chemistry, which are indeed subjects done also in the medical school. But of course, we are doing them with a different focus. Then, in the second semester, we are doing at Humanitas, this is true for the first 3 years, the subjects that will represent our medical foundation. So anatomy, physiology, immunology, biology, histology, embryology, and a different bunch of subjects. At that point, we will have from the third year on very integrated courses, in the sense that, for example, whenever we are studying orthopedics, we are not just talking about bones, diseases, and stuff, but we are also including there some credits of biomechanics, which actually we have an exam on biomechanics. Then at the third year, I will do it now because I'm a third year student. At the fifth year, there's orthopedics. Then during orthopedics, you just integrate the knowledge on bones, on biology, whatever, on the knowledge of biomechanics. So at that point, you also study how to design a prosthesis, how to proper design it. And also another important thing is that in order to drive the revolution towards personalized medicine, it's a requirement for the doctor to actually understand how things are made, because in order to design a prosthesis, it's that's suitable and that's designed on each patient, which is, in my opinion, really the future for medicine. You need doctors keen on more physical, mathematical, and really biomechanical stuff. This is just an example, but really in neurology course, you're doing the same. I could do really a bunch of different examples.
Fantastic, thank you. And there's another, let's say, technical question about the application. There is a language requirement, and if so, which one? For example, an Italian proficiency required, because we can confirm that the programs are fully taught in English.
Well, no, there's no specific requirement about language. We do not require any English language certification, as the admissions test itself is in English. While as per Italian, no, we do not require any specific certification. But as I said before, by the third year, you are required to speak a medium level of Italian in order to be able to actually work in the hospital with patients. But we have an internal language lab that offers Italian language courses for free to all students starting from the very first year.
Fantastic. That's a good point. And also students ask, what support does Humanitas University offer for housing and visas?
Well, for houses, there's student accommodation right in the campus. They have around 220 places. So of course, there's no room for everybody, but students really change every year, as usually starting on the second or third year, they get to know each other, they make groups, and usually they decide to move closer to the city center, maybe to rent an apartment, while freshers usually prefer to stay here in the campus. So there's an opportunity to stay there. Our accommodations have a separate administration. So in our website, there are direct contacts for the accommodations that you can contact to ask all about admissions procedure and availability. And also on the dedicated web page, you find a list of available rooms, because there are different types of rooms, and also the prices.
Great, thank you. And I also see here a question from a student that has already begun a medicine course in her country of origin, that is Ecuador. And she's asking if she will come in Italy, she will have to start everything from scratch, let's say, or if she can maybe have some exams that could be accepted.
Well, if she's currently, excuse me, if she's currently enrolled in a medicine course, she can apply for a transfer. So there's a specific call for applications that is different from the one that I was mentioning before. Usually it is published in spring, and it contains indications about the requirements and credits in specific subjects that we need in order to be able to admit students, usually to the second or to the third year. So that's one option. While on the other hand, she can take the admissions test now in February. In that case, if she's admitted, she will be admitted on the first year. There's no way to, let's say, skip the year throughout the admissions test, but still some exams could be recognized.
Great, thank you. Okay, so another question is, how does Humanitas University prepare students for the evolving global healthcare industry? That's a huge one.
Yeah, it's really huge. I would say that our faculty is made of our doctors, first of all. So basically, this integrated system that I was mentioning before makes it possible to be in touch with real professionals that actually works in the world that is changing, okay? So in an environment that is constantly changing. So that's the first point. They are together with these professionals every day, they work with them, and so it's kind of a natural process. Then as per the medtech students, there are workshops and strong interactions with companies. So they have the opportunity the students, to cooperate with companies. And to have a view on that part of this changing world as well.
Great, thank you. And what kind of career opportunities are available for medtech graduates?
Well, I would list the ones that I already mentioned before. So basically, for those who are interested in being doctors, of course, they are real doctors, great doctors, so they can be doctors and go on with specialty schools and work in hospitals or other places being doctors. At the same time, they can work in research to develop technologies in the medical field, of course, or in companies. So these are the three main, let's say, fields that we thought about. And I would ask Pietro, for example, what will you want to do after you graduate?
Yeah, I mean, in my future, actually, I would really like to proceed with a residency program, probably either in neurology or in psychiatry. But also, I would like to integrate a PhD while doing the residency. Another cool thing about medtech is that in many countries, with the bachelor in biomedical engineering we are acquiring, you are able to get access to a different plethora of PhD programs that will be otherwise precluded just because the medical license give not the access to them. For example, there are a lot of programs in data science that are actually available for doctors, but others which have probably a deeper focus on programming, computer science, AI, machine learning are instead precluded. And with the bachelor in biomedical engineering, instead, this is possible. So this is another practical thing.
Thank you, Pietro.
Thank you, fantastic. And I see another question here about the MedTech course. That is, how does the MedTech curriculum incorporate AI and robotics into medical training?
I would say that that happens more during workshops with companies. Because this kind of integration happens more during lectures, of course, because the fact is that during the 6 years, you cannot work hands-on with patients or technologies. So when you go to the hospital, of course, you are an observer. And if you are a medtech student, you will be assigned to tutors that will guide you throughout different fields of medicine, because then at the end of the 6 years, you need to be a doctor with all the skills that the doctor needs. So as per the practical part in the hospital, it's basically really similar to the one that the medicine and surgery traditional course students, let's say, follow. But at the same time, there's a sort of practical approach with workshops with companies. So it's more about a knowledge that you develop and that you will be able to put in practice later.
Thank you. There's also a question for Beatrice. Do you find
Can I add
difficult?
something about the previous point?
Yeah, of
great,
course.
Pietro.
Sorry, of
Because, for
course.
example, in our AI machine learning exam, part of the exam, last year it was 30% of the final grade. I don't know what will be in the future, but part of the exam was actually to develop, in collaboration with a ward in the hospital, an AI and machine learning flow, so a program, and to incorporate it in the real life of the patients. Moreover, we also have the opportunity, we are not able, of course, to visit patients, but we also have the opportunity to exploit data from the patients in order to do original stuff on our own, integrating our previous knowledge on other courses, which are not, by the way, medical in a sense that they are more engineering.
Thank you. Okay, so another question for Beatrice. Do you find difficult to study everything not in your mother tongue? Did you like the life in Italy?
So, regarding the English part, I personally don't find it difficult because I did high school in English. So that part was a bit easier for me, and all the lectures are in English. But depending on your level of English, I do know that there were some people who did struggle in my class, and they just had to practice their English a little bit more in order to understand better, not to understand, because if you do the test, the entrance exam in English, it means you know the language, but to better express themselves, for example, in oral exams, since we do have some of those. Regarding the Italian part, that was slightly more difficult for me because I had to learn the language when I got here. But I think the fact that I speak Portuguese, and I think I've been told that most of the students here are Latin American, but I'm not sure. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So for us, it's a little bit easier for Spanish and Portuguese speakers. It's a little bit easier since the language is pretty similar. But I do know so many people, for example, from Israel, from like even Asian countries that have a completely different language that we're able um, to speak it, like to learn Italian pretty quickly. It's just a matter of how much like you surround yourself with Italian speakers, how much you try to speak every day. The language courses do help, but it's mostly about how much time you invest into practicing the language in your everyday life. And did I like life in Italy? Yes. Again, for us Latin Americans, the culture here is very similar to the one in Latin America. So it's, I personally adjusted very well. It is a very good mix of the European lifestyle and the more Latin American ones. So I liked Italy so much that I plan to stay here. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. And I see two other questions that could be, let's say, the same one, because the students are asking about the international student community, if there are any activities, if there are a strong community where the students make something out of the university, if you have some testimonials about that.
Yeah, so it's really big here in the Humanitas. There's a lot of foreign students. I think nowadays even more foreign students than Italian ones, if you don't count the nursing and physiotherapy courses. But yeah, and for example, we have the African Society, which is a huge society. It was the first one to become big, and they do a lot of parties once a year during Africa Day. They hosted like a session where they display like things like posters and food about like with from their countries, and that was the first big one. But especially in the last year, this school year, a lot of new societies have emerged. So now there's the German one, the Brazilian one, there's everything, the Indian one. So people are coming together more and more to like be together with the people from their place.
I don't know if Pietro would love to add something, but of course, since Pietro is Italian, it's different. Okay. So I see another question here that is, would we have access to the labs independently, or would we need a supervisor every time we need to use them? You're muted, Serena.
Thank you. If you mean the research labs, there's safety reasons that implies that the tutor is always involved. So you can access the labs under the supervision of a tutor. And of course, it's easier if you're part of a track like the research track, the Virgilio program.
Thank you. And I see also another question that is about the motivation to study medicine. Did you ever lost your motivation to study medicine? Is it difficult, or did you experience, let's say, something not so positive during your path?
I have not personally lost the motivation to study medicine. I think every year it just grows more and more, especially now that I found the specialty that I want to do. Like, for example, in up until fifth year, I didn't really know what to do. But now that I have something in mind and I really like it, it just motivates me to study more. And yeah, I don't know. I think for me personally, it just grew. I don't like thinking of my friends, I don't think anyone lost their motivation to study it. Some people do get a little burnt out. That does happen. But of course, that's inevitable. You just have to find a good balance between life and studies. But that's for any job, really.
Pietro, do you want to add something?
I think I would simply say the same as Beatrice. Even though I actually wanted to be a doctor since I was, I don't know, 11 years old, probably. On the other end, of course, it's a difficult path because it's quite long. So whenever you see your classmates at high school graduating because they're doing a simple bachelor and they are actually going out from the university, they are ready to work, you are still in the middle of your path. I don't want to lie, it's not easy. On the other end, I think being a doctor is probably the best work you can ever do in your life. So and also it can be very, it can vary a lot because you can do whatever you want in all the medical field. You can also apply then there are a lot of people in medtech, for example, willing to apply not to a specialty but for example to a master or simply to a PhD, even in managing and in management stuff. So but even as a doctor you can do really management in the hospitals. You can work for companies, you can work also, I think, I don't know if I can say this, but another thing that I wanted to add about the fact that our university is trying to change and to actually evolve according to the world, which is in continuous evolution of the healthcare world, of course, is that in like 10 years, they changed twice, and they are probably willing to change a little bit more in the upcoming year, the programs for medicine and medtech school. So they're constantly changing them. This is, I think, really the proof that there's an effort in trying to catch up always with the world which is changing. And even in the medical track, they will add more foundation on statistics, on stuff, on science, on AI, on machine learning, for example, because it's essential. My mom's a doctor. She said, just go with that because in the future, everybody, AI will not just substitute doctors, but doctors that are not using AI, they will be substituted by AI probably. So really, it's a beautiful job, guys. If you want, I really encourage you to apply to a medical school.
Thank you. Okay, I think that we answered to all the questions. Of course, I would like to thank all the students connected today with us, and I would like to thank also the panelists for their interesting presentation and also for the testimonials. I don't know if you want to add something before we say goodbye as a suggestion for the students or anything else. In the meantime, I will share in the chat the link to get the certificate of attendance for today's masterclass. I don't know if Serena would like to add something.
Just a thank you to you and all the participants, and also to our students who are precious. And we are available for any clarification.
Exactly. And also, talking about that, I would like to add that in the next few days, you will receive an email with some useful contacts of Humanitas University. So just in case you have any other questions or any curiosities, you can just ask. And also, you will receive the link with the recording of this webinar so that you can take a look again at it and receive all the information that you need. Okay, so thank you again for your participation. Thank to Pietro, to Patrice, and to Serena for being with us today.